I've done over $8 million in sales using this framework by the age of 24 over Zoom. And what I'm most proud of is that I maintain a 53% close rate through all $8 million in sales and years of taking sales calls using this framework. This was actually achieved without bending the truth, without twisting arms to make deals close. And despite what most people say, it's not really because I was the best objection handler on the planet. It was actually because I avoided objections from even coming by what I did in this process using this framework. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing this exact framework from start of the call to invoice paid that I've not only used myself, but I've used in over 5 sales teams that have scaled to over $1 million a month, and hundreds of sales reps have used this exact same framework. And if you want to follow along with this framework as we go through the video, go in the link in the description, grab that framework so that way you have it for the future. Let's get into the video. So what we're really looking at here is basically this divided into 3 separate sections. So on the left side, we have the time of the call. We're really optimizing here to close the deal within an hour. So I go from hi, hello to, again, invoice paid, passed off to the client success team, deal closed within 60 minutes. That's what we're optimizing for. Here we have call structure. And then over here, we essentially just have objections and also, I'm going to butcher this a little bit here, micro commitments, which I'll explain in a second. I'll be revealing this. As we get deeper into this, I'll pull this bad boy down and reveal more of it, less of it. But for starters here, we're just gonna get into the first 2 sections of this. First things first, we have the intro. Do not overthink this. It's nothing insanely crazy. Please do not ask how the weather is. What I view as most important in the intro phase of the call, where we just pop up on Zoom or pop up on the Zoom call and, start the initial first couple words of the call, is to get a feeler on their personality so we can adjust accordingly for the rest of the sales call. So my opener and my go-to is, hey Garrett, thanks for hopping on. Where are you calling in from? I'm pretty well traveled, so I usually know ballpark kind of where they're at, or at least a thing or a fact about it. And we could build some level of connection off of like the place that they're from. And what I can tell here really fast is if they yap and go on a 5-minute story about the city they're from and how they moved and yada yada, I'm like, okay, this person's a talker. They're an accommodator personality type. So I know this is their personality, and then I'm gonna pattern correct and adjust accordingly throughout the rest of this call structure I'm revealing with you today. But if they're like Cincinnati, I'm like, got it. You're either analytical or you're assertive. I'm going to adjust accordingly throughout the rest of the call process. So minor small talk. Do not spend too much time here. If you're a B2B, really don't spend too much time in here. Maybe just say, hey, I checked out your website, saw a couple cool things. Let's get into it. If it's B2C, you can chit chat a little bit longer. But again, don't spend too much time here. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Let's keep it moving. Next, we have setting the agenda. Setting the agenda is by far one of the most important parts of every single sales call, because if you don't take control of the sales call and you don't set the frame properly, it makes the prospect feel like they need to take control of the sales call so that they can get shit done. So they'll just be like, okay, we're talking about the weather in Cincinnati right now. This is why I'm here. This is what I want. How much is it? What do you guys do? And then it's like, that's tough to recover from. So you need to take control very hard here. You want to reveal a couple things here. I'm not just going to close anyone with a credit card. I'm an expert. I'm going to be giving you an offer today if you qualify. So it's going to sound something like this. Hey Garrett, thanks for hopping on. Just so you have the utmost clarity on what we do here, we do marketing for dentists using Facebook ads. And over the past 3 years of me doing this, I've had the privilege of speaking with over 30,000 dentists. And the cool thing about that is that I have the utmost clarity on, based on this conversation, if we absolutely can get you results or we absolutely can't. I've got pretty good at identifying that based on what you share with me here about your business. So I want to learn more about where you're currently at with things, what you're actively doing with your marketing, and what type of goals and aspirations you have with the business, possibly using Facebook ads. Now, all that I ask out of you throughout this call here is that I have a high level of transparency and you really open up the hood on your business and tell me what's going on so that I could diagnose if this makes sense to work together or not. Is that cool? If you just convey that, the prospect goes, okay, he's spoken with thousands and thousands of dentists. This guy knows how dental businesses work. He's spoken with so many people that he knows how marketing works for my business. He's not here to just sell me anything. And I have to be pretty transparent with him about what's going on so that he can decide if I should work with him or not. This guy's gonna actually help me in the decision-making process and also possibly save me money if this doesn't make sense. Because he's gonna save me money, he's an expert, and he knows what's best for me. I need to, in exchange, Be very transparent and very open and just give him the information he needs. It sets a really strong frame early, and then it literally teaches them how to act. I'm a big fan of setting the agenda. Let me dive into things here. We're going to take it a step further, a step below here. We're going into pain and problem awareness. It is what it sounds like. Ultimately, what we're doing is we're pulling up the hood of the car and figuring out what's going on with this person's business, with this person's life, with this person's problems that ultimately brought them here to the call. No one hops on a sales call to buy something unless they have some problems that are hoping to be solved. And your job is to really just uncover what those things might be. I mentioned here earlier in this video that a lot of my sales process that helped me average a 53% close rate throughout my whole sales career is that I was able to reverse engineer objections. So we know, and I'll just, the suspense is over. I'll just share the rest of my framework here with you guys. On the right side here, we basically listed out all the objections, and what objections are going to come up. It's time, it's money, there's another person required to make the decision. Oh, I could just do this myself. They're not tied to the unique mechanism, which I'll explain later. The competitor objection, and then like internal fear. No matter what you sell, there's basically 7. What we're going to do in this pain and problem awareness section is we're going to identify time, money, and other person required. We're going to get clarity on that very soon. We're going to do it basically now. For these next couple questions, we ask right after we set the agenda. And I want you to keep in mind here that because we're so early in the call, we are 5 minutes, 10 minutes into the call. We're not going to go into hard qualifying right now. We need to sell. We need to understand their problems and simultaneously sell a little bit. We're not in here saying how much money is in your bank account. Do you have 10 hours a week? We can't ask for a high level of commitment when they don't even know if this is anything worth committing to yet. We just need to understand their problems at a really high level right now. So when we're talking and we're going through the conversation in this pain and problem awareness section, you need to shut the fuck up. Seriously, actively listen. They know everything about their business or their life or whatever problem you're solving, B2C, B2B, doesn't matter. You don't. Listen to all their problems and let them just yap. Ask this question to just kind of get them opened up. Got you. So thank you for hopping on the call. Like, seriously, appreciate it a ton. Ultimately, what was it here that made you decide to book a call today? Oh, I'm having a problem with my marketing. I'm having a problem with this. I'm having a problem with that. All you want to do is just probe. And when I say probe, they say, oh yeah, we've just been struggling with our marketing lately. You've been struggling with your marketing? Yeah, it's been hard to get the ads profitable. Been like, oh, what's been hard about that? Like, you just are digging and digging and digging, and you're like opening up another can of worms and another can of worms to get them to just tell you everything. So just keep probing, and anything they mention, ask for more information on what they just said until you have a full scope of all the problems and like the current state of the business or the person's life or the whatever. Once that's established and like all things are out on the table here, you can start self-diagnosing some problems, because there's basically 4 stages that a lead can ultimately be in, right? They can be problem unaware, solution unaware, problem aware, solution unaware, problem unaware, solution aware, or problem aware and solution aware, right? What we want them to do is be problem aware by the end of this. That's why it's called problem awareness. We want to label them and have them identify with a specific problem. That's basically what we're laying out here. And then simultaneously, we're making sure that their time, money, or another person required in the decision-making process isn't going to be a bottleneck in this deal getting closed. So as you're talking about, again, in this hypothetical example here, marketing for dentists, you can just say, gotcha, Mr. Prospect. And just because I don't live in your business all day, every day, walk me through like kind of who does what here. Are you pulling out all the teeth and doing all the marketing? Like, are you just pulling out teeth? Are you just doing marketing? Like, how does this kind of work here? Like, who's in charge of marketing? That'll give you a great scope of things. Be like, awesome. Obviously, you're the business owner, but it sounds like you do have this other guy that is involved in marketing. At the end of the day, are you the person with the last say here? Do you bring him into this conversation? Like, what's kind of the working dynamic, just so I understand? And like, oh, it's all me. Then obviously, cool. If it's not, you really just want to give enough information to have them be able to relay this information to the other person and then not pitch and close them on that call, and then bring all parties together and then pitch and close. Getting ahead of ourselves here. We just want to establish that. See if we can handle the objection to get them to handle the decision then and there at the best of our ability. And then if not, we literally do not pitch and do not close. We can hold that information over their head as a way of making them stay continuing speaking with us in order to get the set information on how the offer actually works, bring all parties together, and then pitch and close. So we can tack that one off the list here. Boom. We can say that is now done. When it comes to time, when it comes to money, again, in a B2B environment, we're selling marketing. It's like, dude, how do you not have time to get more customers? If we're selling something like a biz op where it's like, you need to be pivoting to working this thing and doing this 10 hours a day, we kind of have to get them to commit to like literally quitting their current job or their current business or their whatever to do this thing full-time day, all day, every day. So time is a really big micro commitment that we need to get them tied in on. We need to get them to literally leave what they're currently doing to do this new thing that is consuming all of their time now. So we need to get that micro commitment and that objection established of the time thing, like in this pain and problem awareness section. But I'm saying for the sake of this marketing for dentists offer example, we think we can cut that bad boy away. When it comes to money here, this is like a gauge. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we're not insanely hard qualifying right now because they're not even sold enough for us to be doing something crazy like that. But what we do want to establish is like, because we're talking about marketing, we can obviously ask them, how profitable is your marketing? Like, how much are you spending on ads and how much are you getting returned back? And if they're saying, oh, we're losing like $4,000 a month right now on a marketing campaign. So you could say, Mr. Prospect, after speaking to 30,000 dentists, some people, see a $4,000 a month loss, like a rounding error on their books. And for some people, it's pretty catastrophic to be losing $4,000 a month. Is this a super, super, super crazy big deal for you guys to where it's like, oh no, how do we keep the lights on? Or is it not a tremendous big deal? Obviously, everyone wants more profitable marketing, but like, where does that put you guys? If they're like, it would be better, but it's not the end of the world. We do $100,000 a month. You're like, okay. If they're like, we're doing $15,000 a month in revenue, losing $4,000 is not okay. Problem. So that's how you kind of gauge that out. Give two extremes, see if they identify with one or the other. More times than not, they're somewhere in the middle, but they'll at least kind of open up and explain things with you a bit better. I'm gonna go ahead and mark that bad boy away. This section of the call where it's like intro, set agenda, pain, problem awareness, and then desire and outcome awareness, which I'm about to be sharing with you guys here, is like half of the call, because no one comes to sales calls unless they identify with some level of pain or problems that are existing, or they have some desired outcome. And really buying your service is just their way of erasing that problem or identifying with this future identity of getting this problem solved. So your line of questioning in this pain and problem awareness is just, what problems are you facing? What have you tried in the past? Why can't you do this yourself? How does this make you feel? What are the consequences of this problem existing? What are the consequences of not getting this problem solved long term? Again, apply this to whatever you're actively selling right now. And as the closer, you have this unique perspective that the prospect doesn't have. If I'm standing so close to the Eiffel Tower that my nose is literally touching the Eiffel Tower, I can't see how tall it is. But if I'm standing 1,000 yards back, I could be like, whoa, this is a tall building. It's the exact same thing in sales when you're closing deals. Prospects are so close to their problems that they don't understand the magnitude of them and the consequences of them, ultimately like how to solve them, because they're so close to their problems. It's just something they live in their day-to-day. So you as the closer, you have this external perspective where you're like, hey, do you see how big of a problem this is? And do you see what happens if we don't solve this? Do you see that the things that you're doing to try to solve this are not working and you just keep doing them and you don't seem to change this pattern? Like, can we agree that like this is a large problem? Cool. You have now identified with this problem. I'm labeling you with this problem. This is now your identity. You have this problem. That is pain and problem awareness. Your job is simply just to twist the knife and make them uncomfortable enough with their current situation to be like, things need to change, which ultimately brings us to this desire and outcome awareness phase of the call. This is where we talk like future pacing. 6 months later, this problem is now solved. How is life? What are you hoping to achieve here? Mr. Dentist Man, we now take over your marketing. It's in a far better place than what it is now. Like, paint that picture for me just so I have a good understanding of what a win looks like to you. Well, I would love to be at a point where we're making $50,000 a month from our marketing campaigns. Like, ideally, if we could do that with like $10,000 a month in ad spend, 5x our money, that would make me super profitable as a business owner. That would make me super happy. I can maybe hire a few more people, so I'm a little bit more out of the day-to-day. And then again, just how we did this in the pain and problem awareness, we'd be like, oh, got you. You said you want to hire more people and be out of the day-to-day. Like, what would you be doing if you were out of the day-to-day more? Oh my God, I could be able to pick my kids up from soccer practice. And then you get these like second downstream benefits of the first benefit being solved. Most people are going to say money here. I want to make $50,000 a month. I want to make $10,000 a month. I want to make $100,000 a month, $1 million a month, whatever. It's always going to be something about money more times than not, especially if the thing that you sell has a financial ROI attached to it. But people don't really have an emotional attachment to money. And I know that might sound crazy, but what they really care about is what the money in the bank will actually do for them, how they're going to use it, or what feelings or stress get alleviated as a result of this money now being in their possession. So you can say things like, now obviously, Mr. Dentist, who wouldn't want another $50,000 deposited into their bank account on a monthly basis? But what I'm curious about is like, what's this money actually going to do for you? Like, how are you going to use it? How's it going to change your day-to-day? How's it going to change how you feel on a daily basis? How's it going to change basically all these problems that we just talked about earlier? And then we just want them to be like, get out of a mind state of, am I going to do this or am I not going to do this? But more in a mind state of like, what does life look like once this problem is solved? Pro tip here, you can always tell how close a lead is to closing based on how far out in the future they're talking. If all of their questions are about today, well, what about this week? Well, what about next week? I have bills due this. It's like, they're not going to close. Now, to bring this back to earth here, That's desire and outcome awareness. I don't like to spend a tremendous amount of time here. I just like to get them dreaming, get them thinking, get them excited, and get them thinking deep into the future. That's all I care about here. When we go into the recap phase, it is what it sounds like. It's a recap. This is going to convey a couple things. Whoa, this Garrett guy actually gives a fuck. He's actually listening. And the best answer you could ever get to you completing a recap is, dude, you said that better than I could. Or, wow, that was really well said. So you're going to say some version of this. Gotcha, Mr. Dentist. Just so I fully understand where you're at with things. Right now, you're spending about $4 or $5 grand a month on marketing. You're just literally returning you no money. You have tried things over and over and over again, trying different things, trying outbound, trying referrals, trying Facebook ads, trying flyers, trying these things, and literally none of them are working. You've had people you've hired internally to get this done. You've tried agencies, and ultimately none of this stuff is working, and you can't get Facebook ads to be profitable. And because you can't get them to be profitable, you're at a point now to where you're doing all this work in the day-to-day, you're stressed about finances, and you can't even show up to your kids' soccer games. And really what you're hoping to achieve here is getting to a point to where, you can be making $50K a month profit from the Facebook ads that you're running, only at $10K a month in ad spend, and then you can make a couple key hires. So that way you could be a little bit more out of the day-to-day, and ultimately, be a better dad and have the time to be able to be there for your kids, which is ultimately why you started a business in the first place. Does that sound about right here? And you're just recapping Cliff Notes version of the whole conversation. They're like, yep, that's it. And then you'll notice here, we have this do it myself objection here that we can scribble out now, which I'm real happy about, because you just gave them this reality check and they're like, fuck, yeah, life now, not good. Life could be very good if I do this thing that this Garrett guy's telling me about that I'm potentially going to buy here by the end of this call. And then just to get that micro commitment and push this do it myself objection out of the way, it's like, got it, Mr. Dentist. Can we now establish with where we're at in the conversation now that you trying to run these Facebook ads yourself, that's out of the picture. You need someone potentially like us to take over your Facebook ads. Yeah, it is. Make sure in their voice, it's not like, yeah. If there's a disconnect between the words they're saying and their body language or how they're saying it, it's bullshit and they're just lying to you. Call out the elephant in the room and don't be afraid to do that. Because if you go for a micro commitment and they give you a half-ass answer, but there's a disconnect between the words they're saying and how they're saying them, then it isn't a micro commitment and you didn't achieve it. Subpar sales reps will be content with half-ass answers. Great closers that have over a 53% close rate will not accept a terrible answer like that. Call that out. And I love humor and awkward call out the elephant in the room situations. You said yeah, but I didn't hear yeah. Is there something in the back of your head that's I could do this myself? Because if so, I would love to have the conversation. And they're like, a part of me was I could probably watch some YouTube videos and figure this stuff out if I really put some time into it. But no, I literally don't have the time for that. You're right. This is all you guys. You don't see a world where doing this yourself makes logical sense with where you're at right now? No, it doesn't. I need someone else, possibly you guys, to get it done. Beautiful. Cool. Do it. Myself objection wiped. At this point, now we're just closing loops. I see far too many sales reps have this weird section in their call between future pacing and just straight pitching where they don't really know what to do and they kind of just fumble because they're like, I don't know what to do next. I'm just going to start pitching people. If you do the recap, the closing loops, and the offer extension is going to help your sales call so much more, because by the time you get to the pitch and close, the prospect should be 90% sold before they even know what the fuck they're buying. If you've helped them identify what their problems hard enough and be in the dream state hard enough of, that desire and outcome awareness stage to where they're like, man, life could look like this, and man, life sucks right now because of all these problems, and that recap just hit, and it's and I can't do it myself, and you're the person sitting on there with the solution, they should be ready to go credit card out, 90% of the way there. But this closed loops and this offer extension is going to help them get the last bit of the way there before we even get into the pitch, which I'll explain shortly. When I say closing loops, what I'm talking about here is this is all loose ends. I've recently been watching the show Narcos, and it's about a cartel basically in Colombia, and what they consider loose ends is if they kill someone and there's witnesses, they kill all the witnesses, right? We're killing all the witnesses right now. If there's any reason why the deal can't close, we're gonna just call those out and really work to identify those. So if you're a little concerned about finances being tight, if you're a little concerned that they're have this belief that, marketing agencies don't work, if they have this limiting belief that Facebook ads don't work for their business, you just want to call out those things. And this is a vibe, kind of a pulse thing where you're something's off and I can't exactly put my finger on it. I know it's there. I know that if I go into the pitch and I go for the close and I ask for the cash right now, this is going to be the objection. So we front load this and we just work to close these loops. Basically, two of the possible objections and micro commitments that we're going to ask for here is unique mechanism and competitor. I'll explain unique mechanism in a second. I'll talk about competitor because like who doesn't know what that is? If you're a sales rep, you've made it so far into this video, you know what a competitor is, right? Anyone knows what that is. When we talk competitor, you could just say like this, got you, Garrett. And just as a pulse check here, just kind of like, feeling things out here before I explain exactly how we can help you. Right now, are we plan A? Like this is basically kind of what we're looking to do, assuming everything checks out when I break down everything. Or are you in conversation with anyone else about getting this solved? Nope, just you guys. Or yeah, actually, I literally have 5 calls stacked today with a bunch of different marketing agencies. So I just kind of wanted to hear you out. Right? That's really important information to know prior to the pitch, because if they say, yeah, honestly, I have a couple calls with a couple different people to try to decide who's the best here. And when you hear that, most rookie salespeople will be like, dang it, they're speaking to all these competitors. I'm not going to close this deal. What a great salesperson thinks is, oh, let's go, because they are buying something. They're giving someone money. And no one books 5 sales calls with 5 competitors if they're not like, I need this solved now. So we can get them closed. Like it means they're problem aware, they're solution aware, and they need to solve shit now. Music to any great closer's ears, because it's just battle of the best sales rep and battle of the best offer. If they say, yeah, I'm speaking with multiple people, you're like, okay, got it. I'm curious for you, just so we can save both of ourselves some time here. Like what's kind of like your shopping list? Like what exactly are you looking for? Just so I can help identify if we're the best fit or if there's potentially maybe someone out there who could be better for us, better for you. And then they say this. And then guess what? He just told you exactly how to sell him. My first sales manager ever called it the self-selling solution, SSS, where he's going to be like, well, what's really important to me is that you guys have great communication. We're getting the right avatar. I don't care if the leads are more expensive. I want the right leads coming into my door. I don't want to waste my time with tire kickers, blah, 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 blah. They'll tell you all these freaking things. And then you're like, cool. I'm not going to lie, but when it comes to my pitch, I'm going to talk about these things. And then there's extra stuff in our service that isn't what he talked about. I might lightly mention them and more times than not even mention it at all and just talk about these things. So he's like, holy shit, this is exactly what I want. I'm going to work with this guy. And then when he becomes a client, all the things that you didn't even talk about because he didn't care about them are just like bonuses where he's like, oh my God, this is awesome. I didn't even know I was getting all this stuff. That's how you handle competitor. It's going to help you so much and save you so much. There's nothing worse than getting to a close, coming to the end and then being like, well, I have 4 more calls today. I'll let you know. We can now scratch out this disgusting competitor objection. And then we get to unique mechanism. What separates you from everyone else and all of the competitors? This is what takes you from Facebook ads agency for dentists to this is the only person I'm going when I have a marketing problem and I'm a dentist. This is where you have like a well-named like marketing strategy or technique or whatever that makes your marketing better than everyone else's, right? Like I have this really good marketing guy that I know and he calls it like the Venus flytrap strategy. Ooh, unique name. What is this? I'm really stoked that we've made it to this point in the call. What most marketers do that run Facebook ads for guys like you is they just run these ads to people who have no idea who you are. And then they try to immediately ask them for money. It's like, trying to, what on the first date. It's too fast. So what we do is first things first, we get people warmed up to who you are and be like, oh, I recognize that guy. That's that dentist guy that runs this great business. And then what we do is we don't let those people leave. We really warm up, we really nurture, and we really convert these leads once they're like, I know who this person is and I'm kind of interested in going to this guy. That's going to make your lead cost and your amount of money you're spending and the amount of money you're getting back so much cheaper where you have such a bigger return and you're going to be dealing with leads that are only warmed up because of the strategy that we've deployed here. And then he's going to be like, oh my God, this strategy solves all these problems and all those fears that I had attached to using a marketing agency for my dental practice. Yeah, this strategy solves all of them. I'm good to go. And then he's more tied in and more bought into your process. 6 out of 7 objections out of here. We can go ahead and scratch that bad boy off. And what's left here is offer extension and fear. Offer extension is huge because if you remember earlier on in this call, when we were in the setting the agenda, we're like, I know exactly who this works for and I know exactly who this doesn't work for. If you just go straight into pitching and you don't explain why he's getting an offer, he knows you're a liar because it's like, okay, so you don't pitch everyone and you know exactly who gets results and exactly who doesn't, but then you're just going to blindly pitch me without explaining why you're pitching me. Okay, so that thing you said earlier was just sales bullshit. I don't trust this guy. And now we're going into the pitch and he's like, what about that thing he said earlier? What's really baked into this whole process is at all times we're quieting what's called the bullshit noise. The prospect will be saying what he's saying during a sales call, and then in the back of his head, he has this voice that says, bullshit. Oh, your Venus flytrap strategy gets a 5x return? Bullshit. Anytime that voice starts speaking. It gets louder, it gets quieter. You want to always work to quiet that noise. Anytime you say something that's like, maybe that's true, maybe that's not, you say something afterwards that quiets that, right? So if we say, oh, we only give offers to people we know for a fact we can get results for, and I know exactly who gets results and exactly who doesn't, and then we never explain why we're giving him a pitch, that bullshit voice goes crazy as we're pitching him and asking him for money, which will make the deal not close. That's why this offer extension piece is essential. And it also closes a little bit of loops here. So you might say, hey, Mr. Dentist, at this point in the conversation, I know for a fact we can get you results. I'll be transparent in saying I was a little concerned about the time that you had to put into this business and put into your marketing to really make this stuff work here. But honestly, our marketing agency takes over a majority of the work here. And after our conversation, I know that you know what time is going to need to be put into this so that you can ultimately get your time back in the future. And we're on the same page about that, right? Right. I'm giving you an offer, but I was a little concerned about this. And then you talk all positives. You have a much higher business acumen than most dentists that we speak to. Most people get that doctorate on their wall and think that they're suddenly a business mogul too. And that's not the case. But like, you understand the business side of this just as much as you understand the teeth side of this. Both are important. But you're so smart and you understand that piece of things. And I can just tell, and you and I can both tell here, again, like we're on the same page, you're like 95% of the way there. And I think once we crack paid ads and we tweak some of your strategies, you'll go from losing 5K a month here to ultimately hitting that 50K a month that you were looking for. I know that's the only missing piece and you can take care of the rest. So for that reason, I feel confident that we can get you results. And for that reason, I'm going to be giving you an offer. Do you want me to go ahead and break down exactly what that looks like? He's like, holy shit. This guy said that he's spoken with 30,000 dentists. He knows he can get me results. And like, he thinks I'm a good business owner with good business acumen and that we're so close because every business owner feels like they're so close. You know what I mean? So he's like, okay, let's go. So he's going into this because my conviction is so strong that he's going to get results. His conviction is so strong that he's going to get results because I basically transferred that conviction over to him, which is really what a sales call is in the first place. So when I go into my pitch, honestly, not going to spend an absurd amount of time about the pitch and the close in this YouTube video, because to be frank, this part doesn't matter an absurd amount if you do everything else here right. In general, you just want to explain your fulfillment process or your service or your whatever in chronological order from problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. Because if you just say, here's all these things that we do, you want to assume that anytime you say some feature of your product, the prospect in the back of their head goes, well, why should I care? And then you have to answer that question. So it's like, first things first, you need to get your ad account live. We need to make sure everything is set up correctly. Why should I give a fuck? Because you've had other marketers in here, you could be running the perfect ads and the perfect everything. But if this thing is set up wrong, it could be the reason why you're losing $5,000 a month. So we're going to audit that first to make sure all the data is accurate. And he's like, oh, well, I'm glad they're doing that. There probably is problems with that. And then next, we're going to be doing this. And we're doing this because it solves this problem. And then we're going to be doing this because it solves this problem. And then at this point, at this amount of time from you giving us money to this timeline, you can expect this result by this time frame. And then here, we're going to implement insert unique mechanism, Venus flytrap strategy. And then you're going to see XYZ result. You want to make sure as you're pitching, again, it's just problem, solution, chronological timeline, and then handle any objections or any questions that are happening throughout that process. Where a lot of sales reps go wrong, they do so good at keeping a dialogue throughout the whole conversation. And like the corporate sales guys, the tech sales guys are the worst at this. It's like, okay, now I'm pitching, you shut up. I talk, I have a Google Slides presentation and I will not let you interrupt me. And then they have like, have you ever been in a conversation and you're trying to hold on to a question or like something that you want to say really bad, but you don't want to forget it. So you just like hold it in and you stop listening so that way you can remember what you're saying. So then you can then get it out. If you're at minute 1 into your pitch and close and they have a question, they stop listening to you just to hold on to their question. Let them release that, right? So you have to have constant dialogue, like section 1, does that make sense? Do you have any questions on this? Section 2, does that make sense? Do you have any questions on this? You want to constantly keep dialogue there so that does not happen. Once we've completed everything, we've gone through our pitch. When we move into the close, we do what's called a temp check, right? And that's those like on a scale of 1 to 10 questions. And you basically get this temp check on 2 different things. Number 1, unique mechanism. And then number 2, working with you in particular. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel about your dental practice scaling using Facebook ads, using our Venus flytrap strategy? Dude, a 10. Like if we had this stuff implemented into our business, we probably wouldn't be losing money. Got it. And then ultimately, like, I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, like when it comes to insert name of business, how confident do you feel that like we can get your result that you're looking for? I mean, dude, 10, right? When they say the number, 10s are almost a red flag. By the way, it's like too positive, like a 9 or an 8 or a 7 is awesome because then they'll just basically tell you an objection and then you can handle it. Again, because objections are so much easier to handle before price comes out than it is beforehand. So handle all problems problems before price comes out, it's just so much easier. So in this temp check section, what you really want to look for is if there's a disconnect between the words they're saying and their body language and their tonality. And then you call that elephant out in the room, just like we did earlier in this video. And you do that for both things. If they aren't a 10, ask them why they're not a 10, get them to a 10, handle that objection, then they're a 10, you do it again for the second one. And then what you're gonna do after the temp checks is just a very simple offer stack. If you have a guarantee, drop the guarantee, and then drop like an ROI-based price anchor or some version of like a price anchor. I'm actually go ahead and map this out here. Okay, so your close has 3 parts. Let me go ahead and break it down. Next steps, this is kind of like future pacing. And then 2 is offer stack, guarantee if you have one, and then 3 is a price anchor. Got you, Mr. Dentist. I'm glad we're on the same page. You are absolutely going to crush it with us, and we're going to get some killer results for you. I can't wait to start working with you. So as far as next steps goes, we're going to process the investment. From there, I'm going to have you fill out a quick form that we're going to pass to our client success team. We're going to get you on an onboarding call as soon as tomorrow. If you could do it today, we're going to do it today. Our team is on it like wildfire. I already sent a message over to them and let them know that we're going to have a new client stepping on board. So that's next steps. When you're selling an online business thing, you can't just not tell them what happens next. When you're in a physical business like a barber and you pay, you're like, there's barbers here, I'm gonna get my hair cut. If you're selling an online thing, you could pay and then they could literally block you, ghost you, leave Zoom, and that's the end of it, right? Obviously, hopefully people have a better moral compass, but you never know. And then number 2, like offer stack guarantee. So it's like, we're gonna be doing this, and this for you, implementing these things into your business. And if we don't get you to a 2x ROAS within 90 days, we'll give you a full refund guaranteed. And then a price anchor is usually either an ROI-based price anchor, a lost money-based price anchor, or a competitor's price anchor. ROI-based price anchor is, so to get you to over 50 grand a month, it's just a one-time investment of 10 grand. A lost money price anchor is to get you to stop burning 5 grand a month, 60 grand a year on your ad campaigns that's losing you money. It's just a one-time investment of 10 grand. Or if you are cheaper than your competitors, and this is a big caveat here, be like, the craziest thing, Mr. Dentist, is that most of our competitors charge 30, 40 grand for this stuff. And we've had clients that literally have bought their stuff, not got results, came to us and got better results, and we're only 10 grand. Do you want to get started? So that's the 3 price anchors you could use. I'm a big fan of the ROI-based price anchor. Oh no, one thing I noticed here is the fear objection, right? So I was just about to say, the only objection you're likely going to get is some level of like a fear objection, because everything rational and practical has been taken care of. It's usually just like the human having a fear of making the wrong decision. Prior to the pitch and close, I made a little mistake here, my apologies. So after you've gone through the pitch and before you actually go for the close, kind of in this temp check section, you can also just kind of ask it in there. Be like, got you, and based on everything we've covered here today, would there be any reason to believe that you would not do well here, or you would not get XYZ result? And they're like, no, dude, you guys are solid. It's just something you want to confirm and like lock down, because again, most of the objections you get if you successfully follow this framework is there's just going to be some type of internal fear of making the wrong decision, of it not working for their business, of whatever. We'll have minor objection handling, but again, you really shouldn't have it. Usually in those scenarios, they're like, yep, good to go, send invoice, let's go. So that's it for this video. I know it's a longer YouTube video than usual, but this is the most comprehensive sales training you could probably find on YouTube right now. And again, you could go to the link in the description and grab that framework here that I just shared with you so that you guys can look at this on your own time, or you can even implement this framework alongside your sales script, and you could adjust your sales script accordingly to make sure it follows this far better so you can get above a 53% close rate. And if you like this video and you're like, hey, I want sales training from this guy on a more consistent basis, more intimate, more one-on-one, some version of that. If that's at all interesting to you, go to the Closing Bible link below here, watch our video on how that works, fill out the form, and book in a call to speak with my team. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I'll catch you on the next one.